All right, let me get this set up first. So live, so we're gonna announce this. All right, and now we're going to actually play this game. Nice, nice, nice. Pretty good start. Eventually, I'm gonna go for like a. Sooner or later, I'm actually just gonna go for a Tengen start. Honestly, I think the better move is actually the Knight's move because there's moves down here. But okay, it's kind of an odd three thing because there's still like this move here later on, but I'm not going to do that move. I'm just going to invade on this side. That's also weird. Just going to keep doing this. I feel like, okay. I feel like this move doesn't really threaten these two stones. I feel like this move doesn't actually threaten these two stones. Yeah, I'm going to do this sooner or later, but not right now. Yeah, his moves are just like very, very scattered. I think in the end you'll see that like those moves actually don't do all that much. That's a really odd move. I would expect you to Hane on that. Yeah, this forcing me up doesn't really work because you're destroying your own Moyo and you're not getting that much in return for it. I think I should do this at this point. See, I've separated out his I've separated out, like I said, I've separated out his two stones. So they're going to be pretty weak. So I think I'm going to take the tactic of attacking him from all sides at this point. Because there's not, I mean, he doesn't really have an advantage against me anywhere. Um, that's actually perfectly fine. Uh, this is kind of difficult for me, actually. To not so much to answer, but I think I'm going to just do this. That doesn't really do much. I'm going to go and get the corner first. Yeah, the problem with him is like he's essentially making several groups that are like weak for himself. And I don't really, I mean, that stone is kind of weak, I guess, but I suppose that stone is kind of weak over there. But not really all that much. I mean, that might look like a good move, but I mean, I can just do this from either side. The squeeze is at the right move there because if I do this and cut, you're in quite a bit of trouble. That doesn't really help the if I do this and cut thing. So I'm gonna go up here. Um, I'm gonna try to attack him from both sides. I'm just kind of playing reflexively. These aren't necessarily the best moves, but as you can see, I'm kind of like surrounding him both ways. That doesn't do anything. Um, the thing is, like, I've basically okay. I can go on top or on bottom. I think I'm just gonna go on bottom this time. No, I probably should have gone on top. That's my bad. I definitely should have gone on top. Okay, that's completely pointless. I'm going to come out here. Now, these aren't necessarily the best moves. Why would you... Oh, you can go that way. Never mind. Oh, I made a mistake there. Whoops. But you know what? Yeah, that's fine. He should have definitely took this. I definitely made a huge mistake there. That's also a big mistake. Oh, that's definitely a mistake. There were a lot of weak points I actually had here. There were actually a ton of weak points I actually had here. Oh, that's bad. I think he might have actually been able to beat me had he actually done this and forced me. But now, like, if he lets me get two eyes, I made a ton of mistakes here. I made actually a ton of mistakes here. And against, like, another opponent at the same rank, I probably would have ended up dying here. But I would have played a little bit more careful as well. But he's basically just dead now. I actually played really bad. I actually did play really bad there. Guys, please hit the likes and subscribes. That would actually help a lot. So this is basically he's dead and it's Gote. So I'm actually going to play this. No, I'm going to play this move first. It gets me a little bit of a base here. You didn't need to do that because, well, I guess he did have to do that. It's going to connect. That generally isn't a great move. It makes me stronger. Now I'm going to come out and attack. Since this group isn't fully dead, I'm going to go ahead and go out and attack this group here. He's made me... He can't do that because it makes me kill these two stones. Just going to do this. I think I'm just going to do this. It's not bad. That's just kind of strange. I guess it's not too strange. No, it's actually really bad because that's just dead at this point. Oh, no, it's not. But I can actually trade right now, which is really bad for him. Yeah, like those four stones are just dead. So this actually doesn't make any real sense. Let me go out this way. You can't cut both ways. You know what? I'm just gonna kill this. That's already an Atari, so it doesn't really matter. I can let him have the couple of points there. I'm just going to kill like all of this. I'm just going to kill these stones. It's like over... I'm not going to answer that. That's already dead. Actually, I'm going to extend down here and kill these two stones. That is utterly irrelevant because he doesn't have enough liberties. So I don't even know really how to answer that one. Because he doesn't have any liberties. I guess I'll go ahead and connect. I don't really need to, but yeah, there's really no need to answer any of these. So right now you're basically looking for the biggest ending move there is. It's going to be like either this one or maybe taking this stone. There's not much to be gained up. Actually, no, if he actually knew how to play this right, there is a lot to be gained up here. But I'm going to see if he actually knows how to play that right. This one's actually pretty big as well. There's going to be a... What? There's actually going to be a lot to review from this game. Because like this is just like obvious. This is like just obvious mistakes. I'm not going to answer that because there's no point in answering that. I'm going to actually invade this. These are actually pretty good moves to actually secure the middle. That was kind of a wrong move, however, because I can just come out here, and I don't think there's... Yeah, I don't think he can actually do this. I can cut off this group, and if you give me Sente cutting off this group's dead. So he has to do that. I'm going to take the 2 stones, and that breaks his middle group. So you have to be able to use, you have to know how to be able to use the Ataris, right? Like if you're DDK rank, one of the things that they generally don't know how to do is use like Ataris right. If you know how to use the Ataris right, and you can get Sentes, that actually improves your skill by a lot. Like that actually improves your Go skill by quite a lot. You cannot do this right now because I can just kill this. Like when you're trying to get territory, you can't like when you're actually trying to get territory, you can't sacrifice stones way more than the territory is actually worth. So like the thing about Go is like you always have to be wary of counting points. If like you absolutely have to be wary about counting points all the time. That's not worth all that much. The thing is, like, sure, you might have gotten 15 points in here, but you gave up like 30 points in here. So obviously that's not going to be a good trade for you. You cannot be one-minded into getting a certain amount of territory. You cannot be one-minded in getting a certain amount of territory. If you're one-minded in getting a certain amount of territory, you will lose the game. Because like you're going to be sacrificing like way too much to get that territory. Well, I mean, this was dead. Like to answer your question here, if this was dead once I enclosed him, but I made a serious mistake here, and he could have easily traded this side for that side, but I mean he didn't catch the mistake. I was placing stones. I'm like, oh, I made a really bad mistake. So yeah, like the thing is like he sacrificed way too many points in here. He sacrificed like far too many points just to get the center territory, and there was too many Sentes in here for him to actually get that center territory. I'm just going to go ahead and connect my stones because there's no point in doing anything else. Everything else is pretty much dead. Yeah, please hit the likes. It would help me a lot. There's like a lot to actually review on this game, and I think this is a very good like beginner's game type to review. Because I actually made a lot of mistakes, especially early on in this game. If I was playing the AI, I actually would be worried about this because he could actually make something happen down here due to my misplay. But I'm not playing the AI, so I'm not really all that worried. there's several ways to there's actually several ways to kill in the corner. I mean, like, just because he Hane is up doesn't mean you have to push. You just have to calculate you definitely have to calculate some of these things out. When you're so thick, there's actually no way you can live in there.
Pass. Remove the dead stones. You have won.
All right, let's actually go back and review this game, because this is actually a pretty good game to review if you're like a beginner type player. Traditional start, that's perfectly fine. That's not like, that's generally not a good play right there. You either do this, or if you want to play for the moyo, you play this move. This gives a very good low-high combination, and it actually brings your moyo up. I still prefer like either prefer this variation. I still either prefer like this variation, or actually, like, if I'm black, a lot of times I'll go with this variation, even though like the AI does, like, even though Katago doesn't really like it. It's only like, I think black loses something like 1/4 of a point or something here, but it's a very, very comfortable variation for me too. Doing this, you don't really bring up your moyo. You don't really bring up your moyo. You still leave the invasion spot here. You definitely still leave the invasion spot here, and it doesn't really do all that much for you. I do this. This is not that great of a move because this doesn't really threaten my 2 stones. I'm still pretty settled down here, so I can just ignore you and take the much bigger move in the corner here. You definitely want to do this at this point. You want to like at least like get some of the corner here. So doing this, letting me do this out, basically doesn't get him anything. His shape is completely flattened. His shape is basically completely flattened now, and I got the corner, so that's why he loses out. He does that. I probably should have just like Hane'd over, honestly, but I'm just gonna do this, settle myself, and he really doesn't get all that much. His territory is really flattened. I've destroyed this. I've actually invaded successfully on this side, and I can always Hane that corner for points. So he does that. This is gonna the knight's move. This is gonna be the best move. If he wants to play this. This secures this corner. This doesn't really do much. As you can see with my next move here, I actually invade this point. Now you can see from just the moves that we made, I'm up by like 7 points already because he made a move here that wasn't very efficient. He made a move here that wasn't very efficient. And the answer to my corner invasion here wasn't very efficient. The Josekis, actually, the Josekis, the Josekis exist for a reason, and that's because they're pretty fair trades. You have to understand why the Josekis are fair trades. If you don't understand why the Josekis are fair trades, and you try to do things yourself like this, it's good to experiment, but like I guess listening to reviews like this kind of like gets you an idea why these are favorable towards white trades. So he does that. That's okay to try to improve your shape, but if you're really going to do it, if you want to improve your shape, that's a better move. And you definitely want to do something like this when I invade here, because your shape improvement here is not going to be nearly as good as like me like destroying this particular like corner of yours. He does that. I probably should have just Hane'd up, honestly. I probably should have just Hane'd up instead of answer this. I'm going to do this because, like that solidifies my corner. This is more of a reflexive move from me. If I was playing a true handicap game, I wouldn't do this because that would be one place where I would take advantage of a weaker player. But since this is kind of an even game, I'm going to Hane and like settle this group. This group really isn't in any danger, so that's why I say like I probably shouldn't do this right now. But I do that anyways. He does that. That's a pretty bad move. Like you got to do this. You either do this or you do this. Probably this at this point. Yes, it's not favorable to you. Yeah, it's not really favorable to you. I mean, you could even do this right now. It's not favorable to you, but if you go under, I'm obviously going to go over. If you do this, I'm obviously going to go over. And that separates your 2 stones. And there's not really much that black gains from it. That is okay, I guess. I'm going to come up, he's going to go up, and I'm going to go down. Now, I'm going to go down because I'm gonna go down because I don't want him to do this. If I do this like and he hanes, I can just cut. So that's actually what I'm after. That's also not a great move, because there's stuff like like invasions like this kind of suck for you at this point. Like invasions like that will suck for you. Even if I do this, it kind of sucks for you later on. So you don't really want to do that. Or I can just like come down here and you still have to answer again. So that's definitely not a good move. I'm going to ignore that and do this just to put some pressure on this and build a little bit of shape over here. He does that, which is fine. I actually don't quite know how to answer this. There's not a really good answer for this one. I think like flying up and creating like some territory here and maybe in the long run threatening these two stones is fine. He does that. I'm going to capture the corner. In reality, I probably should have done this. I'm just greeting for corner points. It doesn't lose me too much, but I definitely probably should have done this. Either that or I should have just jumped up. One of those two. But I greeted for the corner points. He does that, which is kind of a strange move. That's also not the best move. I feel like I should just jump here. Just make sure to separate these two groups and get like and kind of like get the cap on this stone. I feel like that's the best move. I do this. He does that. Block. This is not a good move. Yes, I know he's trying to get a base, but this solidifies me a lot. Do this. That's not a good move. If you're wanting to jump up, this is probably the best move because it kind of starts giving you a base. Or if you want to jump up, you just jump up because like you always have like after you jump up, you always have this move in the future. So he does this. I'm going to jump up and follow and threaten these two stones. At this point, what I feel like is like he should probably just sacrifice these two stones because if he tries to run out, he has way too many weak groups. And you don't want like a ton of weak groups to take care of. He does that. That's also not a great move. Yes, I know he's trying to get a base here, but it also makes my corner a lot stronger. And plus, like this kind of stuff, you always have this. I usually wouldn't play this immediately. I probably should have just capped and jump out, but I just played this to test his response. It's an okay move, but I don't think it's the best at this point. He does that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Realistically, this is how it should come out to be. And in this case, like basically black is more or less settled here. But this is kind of weird because he does this. This really doesn't make any sense because it doesn't connect this cut here. You don't get the points down here. And this move just isn't valuable. So he does this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Take care of the stone. And he still has this cut up here that he has to protect. So he does this. I'm going to cap finally. I should have done that a long time ago. He does that. I'm going to jump out. See, now I'm attacking both these groups. This group isn't alive, and this group is kind of bad off too. He does that. I'm going to do this. He does that. This probably was a better move at this point. I don't want to attach right next to him. So this was not a good move. He does that. I'm going to fly here and try to kill these. He does. That's not a good move. Yes, I made a huge mistake on this move, but that's not a good move. That's kind of a weird move. Okay, at this point, honestly, I should have probably just... At this point, I definitely should have just done this. I forgot about... I didn't count the liberties on those two, so I do this. That was too greedy of a move because he still has a problem right here, so I definitely should have just fixed this in the corner. So he does this. Also, I should have just done this. I don't know what I really don't know what I was thinking. I connect. So there's obviously like this move. There's obviously this move, and he could possibly cause me some trouble down here, definitely. I don't really know what I would actually do in this situation, because if I do this, he can actually come down like this, and that would kill these 5 stones. So I can't really do this. So I would have to essentially do that, and then this would actually get this corner for him, and that would put me in a pretty bad situation, although these stones would basically be forfeit at this point. So I think like this is definitely like the best option for him right now. There's really not a good answer for me, because if I do this, he can just do this, And like I said, this corner is essentially his. If I do that, I can't give up these 4. Those 4 are way too big. Yeah, so this is definitely the play for him right now. I don't know if he didn't see this or what, but like this play is killer for him, because that would actually, like I said, this would actually give him the corner. He would forfeit a lot of this outside right here, and yes, white would still be ahead by a lot in terms of point wise, but this is by far the best. Outcome for him right now. He does that, which basically lets me connect here, and this is also pretty problematic because I don't have that many. I actually don't have that many liberties here. And he could actually play this and kind of like at least live this group, or try to fight liberties with me, and that would actually be kind of a problem for me as well. So like I don't really know what Katago's sequencing was. I probably should have played this or something, realistically. So like there's actually good fight. Once I do this, there's actually really, really good fighting in here, because like if he does this and I do this, like I'm not alive either in here. So there's definitely a good fight to be had here. So that's where that is. I don't have too many liberties either. So there's actually a fight in here, and I'm not really sure if I win or not is the problem. So this was like basically this was essentially me being extremely sloppy, unfortunately, which I definitely shouldn't have done. He does that. I'm gonna do this first. He does that. I'm gonna do this first. He does that. So this move doesn't really make sense because if you just like push and then cut, I actually have some problems. I definitely have some problems. I don't know if you could. I don't think you could do it right now. I would do this. You would do this, and then like you would force me to actually go up here. What you actually do when you do stuff like this is you fix my weaknesses, and it makes me a lot stronger. So even if he does this, I would have a big problem. Even if he just does that, I would have a bit of a problem, definitely. I would have to do that, and then same deal, like I would be pressed up here. So him doing this basically just solves all my problems for free. That's a good move. That's a decent move. Well, actually, no, I guess this isn't a great move right now. He does that. I'm going to connect. I guess if he doesn't do that, like there's other things he could actually do like this, which would actually give me a lot of trouble. He does this. I connect. He does that. I'm going to do that. This pretty much kills him. Like this, like at least you do this, so it's Gote, and then you come down here and we try to fight liberties down here. I'm pretty sure he loses this because I just have more liberties than he does. Yeah, I have a couple more liberties, so I'm pretty sure he just loses that. But the thing is, like, if you do this and you give me Sente, like, I don't have to, like, do a liberty battle with you. You just die. So essentially, like, you have to be looking, because my corner group doesn't have the I-shaped formation, because my corner group does not have I-shaped formations at this point, you have to be looking for a fight with my corner group. Because basically at this point, if you lose this group, you're definitely lost. That's useless at this point. That is me targeting this cut here. So he has to answer. That's not bad. I'm going to jump out and threaten this. That's, I mean, like, I suppose that's fine. That is unnecessary because what you're doing here really is you're squeezing your own liberties really, really tight here. And you're making me stronger. So this exchange is completely unnecessary. He connects. I'm going to go out here and threaten this invasion down here while trying to kill these two stones. He comes up. I go over. He does that. I do this. This is sequencing. I think there is a. I mean, like I think he could have actually done better than that. Obviously, like once I do that, you basically just want to do this and then like Hane out. There's not a very good way for me to answer this. Basically, the actual result is we both come out. The actual results actually we both come out of this. I should not be able to. I really should not be able to kill your 2 stones with that move. This move has two purposes. One is to threaten these 2 stones, and the other one is to threaten this invasion down here. So you can't do that, obviously. Giving me another move, obviously, basically just kills those 2 stones. Hane out. I'm going to disconnect. There is Aji here. That's more of an advanced thing. I would probably just do this, and there is a way you might be able to make 2 eyes down here. But this is more of an advanced thing, because like this, honestly, there's a lot of like different things you could actually do. I don't know if you could actually make 2 eyes here. I mean, that would also give me a lot of trouble, you know. So I think like I'm pretty sure white actually loses here. I don't think white has enough liberties. So I'm pretty sure I would actually lose there. Oh, by the way, the way, if white comes down, you can always just do this. And white has to do this, and then white doesn't expand liberties there. If white does this, you can just do this. If white does, okay, so if white does this, you do this. It doesn't really matter which way he tries to wedge, it doesn't work. So that's how you actually, so like, remember, in this kind of shape, and when you have this kind of setup, the wedge is key. That's one thing, that's one kind of like life and death thing you can actually learn there. So I come out, he does this. I was a little bit confused by this, but whatever. We have that, and of course, I'm just going to connect. Actually, you know what? I could have just done this. Oh no, actually no, it's an Atari. Never mind. So I'm just going to connect, and that's that. He can't get out with those 4. So he's going to do this, but that's also not a good move because there's way too many pushes. I'm going to push 1. He's going to do that. I'm going to push 2. He's going to do that. Doesn't make any sense. You have to answer these. Like regardless of what you do, you have to answer these. This isn't worth all that much. There's not that many points that you can actually make here. So that doesn't really make any sense. I'm going to take the Hane out. Yes, he gets some of the bottom points, but remember, this always exists. So there's not too many points down there. The thing is, like, the value of these two moves is going to be less than the value of, like, some of the moves here. You have to judge point value of moves. Because, like, this move actually is worth a lot when there's actually a lot of territory to be had here, but there's not a lot of territory to be had here. This move is actually significantly bigger than this move, but it's still only maybe like 6 or 7 points here. And basically, like, when he does that move, I didn't have to do this, but when he does this move, I'm just going to solidify this kill down here just to make sure. If this was a close game, I wouldn't do this. But since it's not a close game, I'm going to go ahead and do that. This, I'm just going to let him like take out the bottom because it really doesn't matter all that much. I should have done this, and this would have been perfectly fine. But I'm just going to do this. Like, I was just planning to have him like do this and then me take it. Essentially, yes, I lose the corner, but since I'm up by 100 points, it doesn't really matter. But if you're looking for the right play in this sort of move, it's definitely this. Because this puts like this group in danger as well. So it's definitely that. So I just do this. I don't know why he does that. The correct move is definitely to go down here. I'm going to do that. He does that. So the correct move, once again, is just to go down here. And just secure this entire group. So once he connects that, I am going to go down here and secure this group because this is dead anyway. So like, the thing is, like, you do, like, for SDK players, you do have to realize, like, you have to think ahead. So, like, you have to ask yourself, if I make this move, does this help me be alive? Or does he actually have to answer that? If you make this move and you're like, well, he doesn't have to answer that and it's dead anyways, then you just lost a move. So that's what he did, and I basically captured the rest of this corner. He does this. I don't actually have to answer this either, but I just did anyways. He connects. I'm going to do this. That's actually a fairly big move. That's not a useful move. I don't actually have to. Oh, no, no, I do have to take it because it's Atari. Never mind, that's fine. But it's still kind of a useless move because it doesn't really get him anything. That I did not actually answer to because, like, once again, I'm asking myself, like, can he actually make two eyes here if I don't respond? The answer is no, so I didn't respond, so I just jump in here. That's pretty big. We play the sequence, and then he does that. This is actually a pretty good move. These are actually pretty good moves, and this is something the AI would do to build this territory, but his territory thing is like way too scattered. He should have just done this. He definitely should have done this, because I'm still kind of like, I still have to take with all the liberties here, and at this point, I might have just done this, just to make sure. And then like with this in tow, you can actually do something like this, and now your territory is built here without having to sacrifice this entire group. So that's another mistake that he actually made. He does that. I jump out here. So like once again, the thing is like you do have to read a little bit as an SDK to get better, and you have to realize like how can I make use of Ataris? How can I possibly make use of Ataris to actually invade this group? Now obviously like he can't do that because if I do that and then he takes, let's say he does this, and then I do this, this whole entire group is dead. So he cannot actually do that. So that's how you make a use of the Ataris. Like sometimes like the point of doing this is not to save all these stones. If I do this, I'm just dead because I can't really run this. I'm probably dead because I can't run this out there. But if I can make use of this dead stone and separate his group. So that's something that you have to work on as SDKs to like read out those things. So he saw that, he does that. I'm going to take those two stones. I get in the center, and this is Gote for him. Well, actually, it's not Gote for him because, you know, if I do this, he can just kind of like do this and stuff. So it's not really Gote for him, but he decides to connect. This is a much better move. It's worth a lot more points. So he connects. I'm going to jump up, which I don't really think is actually worth all that much. I'm going to jump up. It ended up being worth a lot because I killed this. But in this type of situation, you kind of have to do something like this, or even do probably this even, because you can't let me kill this entire thing. So the thing is, like, I think he got way too obsessed with making this territory here. So you can't get too obsessed with making a couple of points when you're sacrificing something worth a great deal more. So he does that. I do this. He does this. I do this. And this is just like a reading problem because like realistically, if I do this, there's no way you can live. So yes, he did get this territory, but you have to count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 14, 15 points. And this is easily like 30 points. So he sacrificed 30 points to gain 15. Obviously not worth the trade. That's just something that you actually have to count. And it's Gote, so I get to do this. I feel like you should probably just connect this at this point, but that's like little. Because if you do this, that gives me the Sente, and then that gives me the Sente here. And then like I'm going to do this, which this is also not worth that much because like that's like really 1 or 2 points. So like in closing game, you have to actually count points pretty easily. That's worth 1 or 2. This is going to be worth 4 or 5 at least. And it's Sente for me because he doesn't want me to Hane that. And then I break in here, which is 4 or 5 points. So he probably lost close to 8 or 9 points there just by doing that and letting me get those two. That's not really worth all that much. I get this. And then, you know, the rest of the game actually ends. And that's how I ended up winning by like 190 points. So there were a lot of like reading moves. Obviously, like the corner combinations you do have to read here. And of course, like certain like sacrifices and stuff, and certain like giving up a lot of Sentes to me when he was already dead. Definitely not something that you not something that you really want to do. Definitely not something you really want to do here. So that's the review for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. And I will see you guys